Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in, back with another video a day till this channel hits 100K. I think this is like video 94 now. We're starting to lose count. Today we're doing a tonneau cover video. I've actually done a bunch of these. This will be the 9th tonneau cover that I have done on this channel, and I'll link all of those in a playlist. I think it's about time that I probably do that. I've tested covers all the way from $300 to well over $3,000. This one, smack dab in the middle. Now, this is the RealTruck BAK MX4 Gen 3. As I'm recording this video, it's not even out yet. It will be out next month. So if you're watching before August of 2025, it's actually the old link to the old cover, and I will update that once it drops in August, and I will put a note next to it so you're aware whether you're looking at the Gen 2 or Gen 3. So with that said, I'm going to go and do an unboxing of this, get it all installed, and then we're gonna run it through the car wash like I always do, because I think that is a great, really accelerated water test. When you talk about rain, typically it's dropping straight from the sky. When you talk about the car wash, a lot of it is pressurized water directly from the side, and it's a little bit over the top when it comes to how much water you're throwing at it. But it does give you a good example of where you might have some issues with water in real life. So we'll run it through that test as well. I'm gonna pull out the swing cases. I just did an update video on these recently, but these are absolutely awesome. Don't need to pull them out to install the tonneau cover, but I do for camera angles later. So we'll get these out of the way. This is a trend that I've started to notice with these covers also, is they're doing a really good job stepping up their game in terms of packaging things, labeling everything really nice, rail. It's not just all thrown into a box hardware. What I've learned to do with these is to just kind of get it all out of the box, lay it out in the bed of the truck, and get your bearings straight with all of the hardware, parts, components. Here we have a rail with a strut, passenger side, drivers. We have the cover. Take our hardware out, set it up on the tailgate, pull our cover out, just set that to the side. This is a tri-fold cover. So the install on these tri-folds is probably one of the easier to actually go through. Really all you're doing is setting on your two rails and then setting the cover up on there. Usually there's a couple adjustments to be made, and then you're off to the races. We will take all of our clamps, lay these out, drop a couple. Oh, look at that, spare parts. Gotta appreciate them labeling that. Now, one thing I'm not going to do is install the bulkhead seal, which goes up along the back side of the window, because I just pulled the tonneau cover off of the truck and it already has one of these on there. Otherwise, you would install that where you see this seal here. But again, I'm just gonna leave the one that I have on there because there's no sense in replacing something that's already there. Now, what's nice on these rails is that they do have some foam here on the side. I like to see that because that does help in terms of That does help in terms of keeping water out. I've noticed older covers that I tested that didn't have those, that sometimes you would get a little bit of water intrusion up on the rail. They do tell you to use these filler strips. Instructions do show you to put those on the rail, but they also show it with a rail that isn't consistently like a 90-degree up and down. Mine is totally straight, so I'm gonna actually skip this step. I don't think I need them. Again, if it leaks, we'll revisit that, but I don't believe that it will. These drain tubes are interesting. Okay, so there's a drain tube here. I'm just going to run it down the backside because there's actually drain holes at the bottom of the bed anyways. So having that water run along the bulkhead to the bottom, it'll just drain out as it should. Now with these clamps, there is a proper orientation. You want this, you want to make sure it's not doing like that, because then it's not really engaged the way it should. One rail down, do the same thing on the driver's side. I like to get a second and third look on these things. Just make sure you captured the rail. This one I did not. Neither one of those I did. Now these guys go into the stake pocket, and this will go there. Where's my, right here, okay. I have to poke a hole through that. So this guy will go through here. Before we install this on the truck, these guys on there. A couple buckle straps here we need to install. Tell with all their gaskets that they spent a decent amount of time on the engineering of waterproofing. Now the nice thing is this is not very heavy. Set this guy up on here. Oh, and then I gotta do the crawl underneath it thing. Not my first rodeo. Try not to get smashed in the head. Get it lined up. Now you wanna just make sure that this piece of rubber here is over top of your weather stripping. Before you attach anything or secure it down, you also wanna make sure that you're all lined up at the rear of the truck too, so that the tailgate closes tight to the cover. So we'll pick this up. So I have a huge gap here, so I want to bring this back. Got good coverage front and rear, so now I can tighten down those front brackets over the side of that rail. Tighten this up. All right. So that's nice and tight. So I was just off camera wrestling quite a bit to get these latches to actually latch, because the way that this latches on that rail, the rail wasn't up enough. So I started looking at the pieces that they provided to shim out the plastic rail here, but it didn't seem like it looked right. So I don't think I need those. What I found out, these brackets are very particular in how you set these up. There is a lip that this bracket actually has to slide up in and kind of pop into, and I had a couple of the brackets where I thought that I was engaged in there, but it turned out that I was actually sitting kind of on this ledge, not fully in. So double check, make sure these brackets are all the way up in and in that little groove where they belong. And then the other thing I noticed is that with these brackets, if you have this on the lowest part here, it was kind of just slightly tilting the whole rail down just a little bit, enough that this little lip that the latches catch was just tilted down just a little bit too much. So by coming in here with these brackets, getting them up into the channel, making sure they were fully in there, which they were not all doing that, about half of them weren't, and then also readjusting it so that I was on this second little groove here was enough to just kind of pop it up a little bit. So now this should close just fine. The nice thing about this cover is it does have a latch at every single seam, so it keeps it positively engaged. So when I drop it there, you can see it's locked in, and then drop it here and it's locked in. Then we'll close the tailgate. It is nice and locked and secure. So let's get to the car wash and see how well this thing performs. The car wash test turned out pretty good. The only issue I had was actually right up here at this corner, which may have to do with me not getting the weather stripping that came with it installed super tight. But I can tell you, if I'm being honest, there's a little bit of a gap here that I could see a little bit of water getting through. Doesn't seem like the weather stripping was the issue, but again, keep that in mind that I didn't install that up front there with the bulkhead seal that they had provided. And you did see a little bit kind of coming in this particular area, but I think that's not really that big of a deal. Honestly, for all of these tonneau covers, you pretty much are almost certain to get some kind of water intrusion if you don't spend a ton of time getting this seal exactly right up here, but you can probably fix that. Zero water came in at the sides here. And then you always get with these GMC or GM trucks, Chevy has the same thing, these tailgates, because the split tailgate has water intrusion that comes in typically right here because there is a gap between the main tailgate and then this like half tailgate, which creates kind of an issue there. Aside from that though, everything's sealed up pretty good, and I would say that's a pretty solid cover in terms of the water testing. With this trifold, you have the design, which a lot of these trifolds work like this, where you undo your latches, you fold it up, and then with this one, we have the little foam blocks here that you install on there to keep it from messing up your truck. And then they have these little prop rods. You make an adjustment, run that down, get our other side up, lock that in, and now it is pinned between the cab of the truck with our foam blocks there, and these little prop rods keep it from coming back, and you have full access to the bed. What's really nice about this is you could have 100% of bed access by just removing the little thumb turn screws here and then remove this whole cover. It's really not all that heavy, so pretty much anybody could do this themselves and remove that entire cover. And that's really the benefit of going with something like this, is the versatility of it is pretty hard to beat in terms of tonneau covers. And again, I've tested a whole bunch of these things. Now, running through the notes of this MX4 Gen 3, they say that they've upgraded the patented auto-latch system, which makes it 55% more secure. I don't have any way to test that. They have a 13% longer tailgate seal and an all-new clamping system to improve fit and weather resistance. I think we saw that pretty well. Again, car washes are pressurized and a ton of water all at one time, so I'm pretty impressed with the overall weather resistance. It is 22% stronger than the previous version. Again, I have no way of testing that. A new click-in design speeds up installation by 12%. They say self-install in under 30 minutes. That I can say, I don't think I experienced that. I would say my installation time was closer to an hour with having to fiddle around with some of the brackets, but not a huge deal. All in, actually a super easy install, just takes a little bit of time. And they say 100% bed access for no wasted space. And they also say that it is tested in the harshest conditions from -40 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. In Phoenix, that's very important because every tonneau cover, it's horizontal, so it's facing the sun all of the time, and they tend to get thrashed with UV rays. So it's nice to know that they test it in all of those different conditions. And they say it has been tested to 7,500 hours to reliably perform over a decade of driving. And they guarantee it with a 5-year warranty, so that is not nothing. So I do love doing these tonneau cover videos. Any other suggestions out there for any covers to test, I would love to take a look at as many as I possibly can. So with that being said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I'll see you guys tomorrow.